of organic chemical reactions before we discuss specifically what are the reactions involving among alkenes, alkynes, and then later benzene rings. Okay, let me record the session. And also, a majority of the questions in the assessments, in the
This call is
exams,
now being
it will
recorded.
be covered more on chemical reactions. So make sure you understand the concept that will be discussed this afternoon. Okay, so let's start. Okay, when we talk about organic reactions of um, compounds like alkenes, alkynes, alkanes, or any hydrocarbon derivatives, the most common mechanism of reaction that occurs among organic compounds, we call it polar reactions. Ayan. So it's a polar type of reactions, and based on the term polar, this tells us that this type of reaction is simply an attraction between a positive polarized center and a negative polarized center on a functional group in molecules. So you have molecules being interacted. One molecule have a positive pole, the other one has a negative pole. So kumbaga, yung attraction is in between opposite charges for the polar reaction to proceed. So that's the definition of polar reaction. Now, to see or understand how polar reaction takes place, you have to recall the idea, the concept of polar covalent compounds or polar covalent bonds. Di ba, if we recall, uh, kapag sinabing polar ang isang covalent bond, we classify it a polar covalent bond if there is a presence of a highly electronegative atom. So there's a presence of highly electronegative atom like, for example, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen. But these are examples of highly electronegative atom. So whenever a carbon, let's say you have a carbon atom in an organic molecule, it is bonded to either of this electronegative atom, highly electronegative atom, then that bond that connects the atoms together is a polar covalent bond. Okay. And since you have learned already the different functional groups, yung mga formula, general formula ng functional group, diba, you will observe that there are hydrocarbon derivatives na functional group that consists of oxygen. They contain oxygen. Example, alcohol. Diba? Yung functional group ng alcohol may oxygen. Diba? OH. And this one, this is ether. Okay, so meron ding oxygen, a highly electronegative atom. This one is carboxylic acid. Okay. The next functional group presented, this is ester. And this one is aldehyde. And lastly, yung given nga functional group dyan is a ketone. Okay. So observe that all the presented functional groups here, sa illustration, they shows polarity pattern. Okay, so yung mismong bond that connects particularly carbon and oxygen, yung mga bond na yan between carbon and oxygen, these are polar covalent bonds. That is simply because you have a carbon that is bonded to a highly electronegative atom, which is oxygen. So it shows polarity pattern on these functional groups. Now, because of the polarity pattern observed among these hydrocarbon derivatives na functional group, then these types of functional groups, they undergo polar type of reactions, wherein it is simply an attraction, again, between a positive pole, a negative pole center on functional groups among molecules. Okay. However, if we try to look on the hydrocarbons alone. Yung purely hydrocarbons lang talaga na functional group, halimbawa, yung alkenes. Okay? Also, alkynes. Ayan. And even alkanes, 'di ba, yung functional group meron sila is simply the presence of multiple bonds in between carbon atoms. This is for alkene, by the way. And then yung nasa baba is for alkynes. Yan yung mga functional group, di ba, ng alkenes at saka alkynes. Double bond between carbon to carbon for alkenes, triple bond carbon to carbon for alkynes. Now observe that the type of bond that connects identical atoms, di ba, we call it non-polar. Non-polar covalent bond. Ito din. Same with the other example, yung sa alkynes, non-polar din yan na covalent bond. Kasi you only have identical atoms bonded together. So this type of covalent bond is simply non-polar. There is an equal sharing of electrons in between that atoms being bonded. So yung characteristic dito is it shows asymmetrical bonding, a non-polar covalent bond. Okay, but if we proceed to higher nga mga order na functional group, puro na merong polarity pattern ma-observe. Okay? So that's why, generally speaking, for many references in organic chemistry, ang type of or general type na chemical reaction that occurs among organic compounds is really polar type of reaction. Okay, so that is generally speaking. Okay. Now, what does this functional group polarity means with respect to the chemical reactivity ng nature ng isang compound? Ano ba yung relationship niya? Significant relationship having this polarity pattern. How does it affects the chemical reactivity ng isang compound, isang organic compound? Now, since we have mentioned na sa isang polarity pattern or polar reaction, ang isa dapat may negative polarized center, then yung isa dapat may positively polarized center para ang polar reaction, di ba, mag-proceed. That totally affects the chemical reactivity ng compound because one molecule dyan or one compound, para mabuo itong bond na to or para mabuo yung product per se, dapat yung isang compound na merong negatively polarized center. Halimbawa, ito yung negatively polarized center. For it to form a bond, for it to form a product, this electron-rich na compound, it will simply donate a pair of electron. It will donate its pair of electron. Kasi meron siyang negatively polarized center. Siya yung electron-rich, particularly. Okay, sa chemical reaction during polar reaction. So, idodonate niya yung pair of electrons meron niya doon sa positively polarized center. Okay, so halimbawa, ito yung positively polarized center na molecule, siya yung mag-a-accept. It will simply accept the pair of electrons being donated to it. So, siya yung electron poor naman, electron poor na atom. Okay, so that's how the bonds are made. A product is formed in a polar reaction. One will donate a pair of electron, being an electron rich. The other one will accept that pair of electrons, being an electron poor. Okay. Now, in chemistry community, we actually have terms that describes, used to describe an electron rich and an electron poor na species that are involved sa polar reactions. We make use of these terms, nucleophile. Then the other one is electrophile. So which is electron poor, which is electron rich. You can simply understand no, these terms, even though first view nyo lang or firstly heard nyo pa lang yung pangalan, by understanding the term itself. When you heard about this term file, philic or file, it means loving. Okay, kapag you have encountered no this word, kapag sinabing file or philic, it means loving. Okay, so how do you understand nucleophile? You extract this root word. Saan ba galing yung term nga nucleo? Galing yan sa root word na nucleus. Okay, I know you have heard about nucleus. It's a part of an atom. It's the center portion, the middle portion, di ba, ng atom, atomic structure. And inside the nucleus, it contains the proton and the neutron. So that's the component ng nucleus. Talking about the charge of the nucleus. Ang charge ng nucleus in an atomic structure, remember, it is positively charged. Diba? Positively charged ang nucleus ng atom. That is because it is being influenced by the charge of a proton. Kasi nga, sabi natin, nakapaloob inside the nucleus ang proton at saka yung neutron. Bakit naging positively charged ngayon yung nucleus? It is because of the influence ng positively charged proton na makikita sa nucleus. Kaya positively charged yung nucleus. So that's how we define a nucleus. It's the centermost part of the atomic structure and it carries a positively charged. Okay, positive yung charge niya. So meaning to say, when we talk about nucleophile, it is it loves, diba? It loves positive particles, okay, or positive entities. That's how we define it based sa pangalan nga nucleophile. Mahal niya yung positive. Okay. During chemical reaction, polar reaction specifically, sabi natin, for it to proceed, dapat opposite attracts. Tama? Opposite attracts for a chemical reaction to happen. For polar reaction to happen. Yung isa dapat positively polarized center, the other one negatively polarized center. Class, if ang ibig sabihin ng nucleophile, mahal niya yung positive, bakit ba siya na-attract sa positive? Kasi yung nature ng isang nucleophile, it is, what do you think? It is naturally negative ba siya or positive? You can make use of the chat box You can make use of the sign plus or minus. Ano ba yung, what do you think is the nature ng nucleophile? Bakit ba siya na-attract sa positive? Correct. Kasi siya mismo, yung nature ng nucleophile is negatively charged siya. Okay? So that's the reason behind it. Bakit? Nucleophile means positive loving. Kasi siya mismo, it has, that's the definition of nucleophile. It has a negative, okay, negatively polarized electron rich. So siya yung electron rich nga atom in the polar reaction. Kapag sinabing electron, di ba, it's negatively charged particles of an atom. Kung marami siyang electrons, mas negatively charged siya. Okay, so how does it form a bond? How does it form a product? Kung siya yung electron rich, siya yung magdo-donate ng pair of electrons. So it can form a bond by simply donating a pair of electrons. A pair of electrons to a, saan niya i-donate? Sa ka-opposite niya, to a positively polarized electron poor atom. Okay, electron poor atom. So that's how we define a nucleophile. Okay, mahal niya yung positive. Bakit? Bakit siya mas na-attract sa positive? Kasi siya mismo, negative siya. So negative is being attracted to a positively charged atom. So how can it form a bond? Idodonate niya yung pair of electrons na meron siya to the electron poor atom. Okay? Or if we try to correlate it with an acid and a base characteristics, ang nucleophile usually it acts as a base. Okay, it acts as a base. Kasi if we define a base based on Lewis definition, a Lewis base is able to donate pair of electrons. It donates pair of electrons or based on Bronsted-Lowry nga theory on a base, it is able to accept proton. Okay, so that's how we define base. And it is somehow correlated to a nucleophile. Able to donate a pair of electrons. Yan daw yung ibig sabihin ng Lewis base. Kapag Bronsted-Lowry naman, letter B yan. Bronsted-Lowry nga theory of a base, it is able to accept a proton. Okay, so parehas lang. Okay, next. So yeah, based on your knowledge sa nucleophile, this time, let's extract the definition naman ng electrophile. So this is the exact opposite of a nucleophile. So phile ulit means loving. Okay, it means loving. And then pag sinabing electro, it comes from the word electron. Okay? And as we mentioned, based on your stock knowledge, kapag electron na subatomic particle of an atom, diba? This is negatively charged particle. Negatively charged. So kapag electrophile, mas naa-attract daw siya sa negative. Okay, negative loving siya. Bakit ba siya naa-attract sa negative? It's because electrophile, in nature, it has positively polarized nga center. So yan naman yung definition ng electrophile. It has a polarized, positively polarized electron poor atom. So exact opposite lang ng definition na nasa left side. And how can it form a bond? It can form a bond, by accepting a pair of electrons. A pair of electrons. Saan niya i-accept yun from a negatively polarized electron rich. Okay. Atom. So that's the definition of electrophile. Since electron poor siya, ang gagawin niya, mas maa-attract siya doon sa electron-rich atom. Okay, so opposite attracts. That's how you define nucleophile and electrophile. And then if you try to correlate it naman to acid-base nga concept, ang mga electrophile generally it acts as an acid. Kasi by definition, kung Lewis acid, it means it accepts pair of electrons. And based on Bronsted-Lowry nga theory of an acid, it is a proton donor. Okay, proton is H+.